Tonight, former President Joe Biden's devastating diagnosis, the president's aggressive form of prostate cancer, the outpouring of support. It comes after he shook up the race for president, abandoning his bid amid concerns over his health and mental acuity. And should the advanced case have been diagnosed sooner? What doctors are saying tonight. Just hours after a line of severe storms laid waste to a massive swath of the country, the new weather threat. Nearly 30 dead in the same areas could be hit again. The budget cuts from the Trump administration isn't impacting forecasting dangerous weather. The intense new wave of Russian attacks from the air on Ukraine as President Trump talks by phone with Vladimir Putin. Is there any hope for progress? The chilling attack on a California fertility clinic, the man who killed himself in a car bomb, what law enforcement sources believe about his radical ideology, and how first responders took action to save incubators. How did a tall ship end up crashing into the 142-year-old Brooklyn Bridge? The mast collapsing, killing 2 crew members as crowds looked on in horror. Just in, the new law targeting graphic sexual deepfakes online. And our deep dive into the quest to save America's coral reefs, how underwater sculptures are giving reasons for optimism.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. After informing the world about his prostate cancer diagnosis over the weekend, former President Joe Biden is now facing the very private decision about what's next. His cancer, diagnosed last week as an aggressive form that had spread to the bone, according to a spokesperson, discovered as a small nodule on his prostate. Despite the aggressive nature of the disease, experts say his type of cancer, while not curable, may be manageable. Biden led a fight for cancer research, raising tens of millions after the death of his son, Beau. Today, the 46th president posting online, "Cancer touches us all." The health revelation coming at the same time Mr. Biden's mental acuity has come under scrutiny again. In a moment, I speak to a doctor about prostate cancer detection and treatment. But first, here's Peter Alexander.
Tonight, sympathy and support for former President Biden after his office revealed the 82-year-old has an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. This morning, the former president posting, "Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." Biden received the diagnosis Friday after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms, which led doctors to find a small nodule on his prostate. President Trump writing, "Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." Biden's Vice President Kamala Harris posting, "Joe is a fighter, and I know that he'll face this challenge with the same strength, resilience, and optimism that have always defined his life and leadership." A source familiar with Biden and his family's thinking tells NBC News they're now assessing multiple treatment options, including hormone therapy.
With modern day medical management, this may not shorten his life at all.
The diagnosis as Democrats were in the midst of a reckoning following new accounts Biden's aides and allies may have concealed his mental decline as president. Biden recently dismissing those accounts.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
Leaked audio clips from Biden's 2023 interview with special counsel Robert Hur were released Friday, showing the former president at times struggling to recall names and dates.
Well, if it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president? 2017. So I was vice president.
Now some allies are questioning why the cancer was not detected sooner.
It is a little surprising to many of us oncologists that he wasn't diagnosed earlier. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president.
Late today, President Trump raising his own questions.
Why did it take so long? I mean, this takes a long time. It can take years to get to this level of danger. So it's a very, very sad situation, and I feel very badly about it. And I think people should try and find out what happened.
Tonight, friends are sending the former president love and strength.
He'll get through this. He'll fight. But this is hard. I mean, this is a tough diagnosis.
And Peter, cancer has tragically personally impacted the Biden family before.
Lester, next week will mark 10 years since Biden lost his son Beau to brain cancer. And notably, Biden helped launch the Cancer Moonshot Initiative, which helped invest federal money into research projects that created new treatments that could help Biden in his cancer fight now. Lester?
Peter Alexander tonight. Peter, thank you. And joining us now is Dr. Lee Richstone, chairman of urology at Northwell Lenox Hill Hospital. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Do most cancers of the prostate begin with symptoms?
Most prostate cancers do not begin with symptoms. Actually, in today's day and age, most prostate cancers are detected through a PSA blood test. Symptoms are really only common if patients have advanced disease, if it's been detected late.
In this case, the former president apparently had some symptoms, and there was questions, I guess, about when that began. What is the typical length of period into the disease that you find out you have it?
Well, again, typically people find out when they have it a localized disease. Blood test is elevated and it's contained to the prostate. If someone's having symptoms from prostate cancer, bone pain, weakness, numbness, blockage of their urinary stream, then it's advanced. I mean, it's higher stage disease, both at the prostate level and metastatic disease.
Dr. Richstone, we thank you for stopping by. And out of the weather devastating the Midwest and South, more than 30 million people under severe weather alerts, including people in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. NBC News' Shaquille Brewster reports.
Tonight, another round of dangerous weather threatening millions, all clashing with the scramble to clean up.
There's a lot of need, and there's a lot of severe weather in the forecast.
At least 102 tornadoes were reported since Thursday. From Colorado.
Oh my God.
To Oklahoma.
Wow, dude.
To a deadly twister in St. Louis that damaged more than 5,000 buildings.
On the ground, you see the impact of those 150-mile-an-hour winds. Home after home after home completely destroyed. Devastation expanding not just for blocks, but through entire communities.
They tarped it up yesterday after they removed the tree.
Geraldine Jurgen is now rushing to clear debris for her daughter and 4 grandchildren after a tree crashed into their home just days ago.
We're going to stick together, we're going to stand strong, we're going to survive. We're stronger than the winds.
The same system that killed 19 people in Kentucky. Kathy Park is there.
It took seconds for people to brace for impact. The tornado came through with so much force, the house across the street launched hundreds of yards right here.
An unrelenting pace of severe weather coming as about 40% of the nation's weather forecast offices are facing significant staffing vacancies, including in Jackson, Kentucky. But the agency telling NBC News emergency alerts went out and the office remained fully staffed through the duration of the event using surge staffing. Tom Fahey's organization tracks those staffing numbers.
How exhausted are some of these meteorologists at this point?
These individuals, they've been carrying a great load for a long time. We have to wait to see what happens here with the administration to give us more relief, to get more employees hired.
And Shaquille joining us now from St. Louis. Shaquille, the weather is still a major threat for that area.
It is, Lester, and that's why city officials say they've been doing what they can to get blue tarps like that out to as many damaged homes as possible. You've been seeing neighbors and volunteers working to clear out the debris off the street. We know that Missouri is facing threats of not just more rain, but also heavy wind, possible hail and flooding, threats that extend to states like Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Lester?
All right, Shaq, thanks. Now to that high-stakes call between President Trump and Russian President Putin aimed at achieving a ceasefire in Ukraine, with President Trump tonight saying Pope Leo may get involved. Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
Tonight, just hours after what Ukraine says was Russia's largest drone attacks of the war, President Trump saying his high-stakes phone call with Russian President Putin went very well, adding Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire.
Very big egos involved, I tell you. Big egos involved. But I think something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'd just back away and they're going to have to keep going.
The president saying that Pope Leo offered to host peace talks at the Vatican.
I think it would be great to have it at the Vatican. Maybe it would have some extra significance.
Still, there was no immediate breakthrough on a ceasefire.
I said, when are we going to end this, Vladimir? I've known him for a long time now. I said, when are we going to end this bloodshed, this bloodbath? I did say, it's time. You got to stop this thing. And I believe he wants to stop.
President Putin describing the call as very constructive, adding Russia is ready to work with the Ukrainian side on a memorandum on a possible future peace treaty. President Trump then spoke by phone with European leaders as well as Ukraine's President Zelensky, who, unlike Putin, has already agreed to Trump's unconditional ceasefire proposal. Vice President Vance met with Zelensky in Rome Sunday. These smiling photos a sharp contrast from that tense Oval Office meeting in February. Since then, the Trump administration has grown increasingly frustrated with Putin.
I think one open question is Vladimir Putin serious about negotiating peace?
And late tonight, Russian state media says the two leaders also discussed direct contact between Putin and Zelensky. Lester.
And Gabe, I know you're also covering a major win today for the Trump administration at the Supreme Court.
Yes, Lester, the Supreme Court just gave the Trump administration the green light to revoke temporary protected status for almost 350,000 Venezuelan immigrants, which could pave the way for them to be deported. Lester.
All right, Gabe, thanks. We turn now to Palm Springs, California, where an investigation is underway into a car bombing at a fertility clinic. Camila Bernal has the latest on what the FBI says is a deliberate act of terrorism.
Chilling new details tonight on the extremist beliefs of the man suspected of bombing a fertility clinic in Palm Springs, California.
We have one confirmed fatality on Palm Canyon.
The FBI officially identifying the suspect as 25-year-old Guy Barkis through DNA, who died when his car exploded just outside the American Reproductive Centers around 11 a.m. Saturday.
It's certainly a huge concern that somebody would take out their personal grievances in a way that would harm other people.
Two senior law enforcement officials briefed on the incident, telling NBC he appears to have been driven by an anti-natalist ideology, a belief that no one should have children. His online presence now under intense scrutiny, according to the FBI, along with a 30-minute audio recording, what investigators say is part of a possible manifesto and an attempted live stream of the blast. But despite the chaos, the clinic's doctor says the eggs, embryos, and reproductive material were saved. Deputy Fire Chief Greg Lyle and an FBI agent entered the surgical center in the aftermath.
I was just looking at a bunch of medical equipment, and I knew it just needed to get powered back on.
The team restoring electricity that powered the incubators and tanks, storing eggs and embryos, and later retrieving patients' critical medical records.
I'm super proud of everybody and the team effort.
And we spoke to the clinic's doctor, who says they are operating, but at a different location. He says thousands of embryos were saved. He checked on them today and said all of them are in good condition. Lester?
All right, Camila Bernal, thank you. We're getting new information tonight about the harrowing scene that played out here in New York City over the weekend when a Mexican Navy tall ship crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. Let's get details now from Emily Aketa.
Tonight, the NTSB ramping up their investigation into what caused this stunning scene in New York City. Saying the Mexican Navy ship was supposed to head south on the East River on Saturday, but instead went in the opposite direction, backing out with the assistance of a tugboat at 8:20 p.m. A call for help came in at 8:24, and 45 seconds later, the ship's first mast struck the famed Brooklyn Bridge, according to investigators.
As the ship was backing out of the pier, it was going about 2 to 2.5 knots.
The NTSB telling NBC News the ship accelerated.
Approaching what appeared to be the middle of the channel, you would have thought it maybe would be slowing down, but then it accelerated up to 6 knots when it struck the bridge.
Moving in the wrong direction.
That's correct.
The Mexican president today offering her condolences to the families of the 2 people killed on board. Both had been standing on the upper yards of the ship, according to the NTSB, as part of a tradition when the crew sets sail. Video showing some crew members dangling from the rigging after the crash. Built more than 40 years ago, the ship is used for naval training and as an ambassador of Mexican culture. Its stop in New York City was part of a planned 254-day voyage to 15 countries. Most of the crew members on board returning to Veracruz today, as investigators zero in on their damaged ship.
Local officials have said there may have been a mechanical issue on board, but the NTSB today, who has yet to board the ship, would not speculate. Lester?
Emily, thanks. Overseas, Israel is ramping up military pressure against Hamas, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to take over the Gaza Strip. It comes as aid is finally trickling in. Matt Bradley reports.
Tonight, Israel is expanding its attacks in the Gaza Strip, moving toward what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls full control, saying he wants to essentially take over all of Gaza. Israel's military says it struck more than 670 Hamas-related targets in the past week. But the Hamas-run Ministry of Health in Gaza says more than 600 people, mostly civilians, have been killed in 3 days, including most of Warda al-Shar's family, killed in an Israeli airstrike in an area Israel calls a safe zone. We're exhausted. Get us out of this, she says. We can't live any longer. But one family's prayers have been answered. When Hamas freed him last week, Adnan Alexander became the last known living American hostage to leave Gaza.
You must have imagined that moment of reunion so many times. Did it live up to how you imagined it?
It was better than I imagined it. I was running to him, I was screaming, and I was holding him like so tightly. He looks a little bit thinner, weaker, paler, but still, it's Idan. It's the same laughter, the same smile, the same kind eyes, and I don't know, this is our boy, you know? It's amazing.
Israel's government also announced that it will finally allow small amounts of aid to enter the Gaza Strip, citing political pressure nearly 3 months after it blocked it. Some aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip today. Lester?
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you. In 60 seconds, the new bipartisan law taking aim at graphic deepfake images posted online. Can it put an end to the scourge? Next. Today, President Trump signed a new law that makes posting explicit images of a person without their consent a crime. Kate Snow joins us now. And Kate, this is really a first-of-its-kind law in the digital era.
Yeah, it really is, Lester. We're talking about how easy it is now to create a deep fake, a realistic nude image or video of someone and post it online. It's also easy to post a real explicit image or video as revenge. People call it revenge porn. The Take It Down Act, signed today, criminalizes the creation and distribution of any non-consensual explicit images. And if someone reports imagery like that, the new law now requires websites to take it down within 48 hours. This act was championed by First Lady Melania Trump. It had broad bipartisan support. Critics have raised some concerns about freedom of speech, but advocates say it could bring around real change. A young woman who inspired this legislation when a classmate created a fake nude image of her says this law, Lester, will protect people in the future.
Okay, Kate, thank you. We're back in a moment with a major car company raising prices. What to know before you buy. The FAA today announcing another outage in the facility that controls part of Newark's airspace. The agency saying the Philadelphia-based center lost radio frequencies for about 2 seconds late this morning at 11:35 a.m. This outage following recent outages in the Newark airspace that had led to hours-long delays for flyers. The FAA says they will investigate and that all aircraft remain safely separated during that outage. Subaru of America announcing today they will be increasing their prices. In a statement to NBC News, the company revealing they are adjusting its pricing in response to current market conditions, and also noting the changes were made to offset increased costs. The automaker, while not directly mentioning the tariffs, now among the latest companies to hike prices as the global trade war continues. And some news for some of TV's most beloved characters. Whoa. Num, 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 num. Yes, I got to follow that. Cookie Monster, Elmo, and the rest of Sesame Street move to Netflix later this year. Sesame Workshop signing a new deal with the streaming giant. The move coming months after its original contract with HBO Max was not renewed. It still airs on PBS as well. When we come back, there's good news tonight. The vibrant underwater sculptures giving Miami Beach coral new life. There's good news tonight along Florida's coast, a new sculpture project hoping to restore and protect the ocean's marine life. Here's Jesse Kirsch.
This bustling coral reef is just hundreds of feet from a place already known for vibrant colors, Miami Beach.
These fish themselves are works of art.
Yes.
Well, Mother Nature is the ultimate artist, right? What we're doing is giving nature and amplifying that marine habitat because it's needed.
So it used to extend right off Miami Beach, north and south for miles.
With corals struggling worldwide, a South Florida project called the Reefline hopes underwater art installations will give fish shelter, help corals thrive, and protect the iconic coastline. The publicly accessible sculpture park and snorkel trail expected to stretch roughly 7 miles. We took a deeper dive, exploring how artificial reefs can flourish. This nearly 30-year-old concrete reef off Miami Beach is now teeming with fish. But the Reefline says it's going further, rescuing dislodged climate-resilient corals so clones can be locked on to its new hybrid reef.
When you put the mask on and you get into the water, it's like time slows down. If more people have that type of opportunity, then that helps change public perception about the need to protect the environment.
A potential conservation roadmap that's underwater. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News, off the coast of Miami Beach.
And that's nightly news for this Monday. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.